Imagine waking up tomorrow in a world where almost every living thing is better designed than you. The fastest animals can outrun you without effort. The strongest can crush your ribs with a single strike. Some creatures no larger than your thumb carry enough venom to stop your heart. Even the sky isn't safe. Long before you notice danger, sharp eyes circling hundreds of feet above have already spotted you. Now imagine surviving there, not for a weekend, not for a lifetime, but for hundreds of thousands of years. By every rule of nature, you shouldn't exist. And yet, you do, because nearly 2 million years ago, a small, fragile human ancestor faced exactly that impossible world. It wasn't fast, it wasn't powerful, it wasn't built to fight. In fact, if you had seen it standing alone on the African Savannah, you probably wouldn't have guessed it would survive another week. Yet from that seemingly insignificant creature came every civilization, every scientific discovery, every work of art, every language ever spoken, and every spacecraft that has left Earth. How? How did evolution choose one of the weakest primates on the planet to become the most influential species that ever lived? The answer isn't what most people think. It wasn't bigger muscles, it wasn't sharper weapons, and it wasn't even a larger brain. At least not at first. The real answer began with a decision so small that no one alive at the time could have understood its consequences. A decision that quietly changed the rules of evolution itself. Nature is often described as beautiful, but beauty is a luxury. For nearly all of Earth's history, nature operated under a far simpler principle: survive or disappear. There were no hospitals waiting beyond the horizon, no supermarkets, no emergency shelters, no second chances. Every sunrise restarted the same brutal competition. Find food before something else found you. Drink before another animal claimed the water. Stay alive long enough to see tomorrow. For millions of years, evolution rewarded the same qualities over and over again. Become bigger, become faster, become stronger, grow thicker armor, develop longer claws, sharpen your teeth. The winners were usually easy to recognize. Massive crocodiles ruled rivers that smaller animals feared to enter. Saber-toothed cats carried canine teeth longer than a human hand. Hyenas evolved jaws powerful enough to crush bones that other predators simply abandoned. Even birds became astonishing hunters. Eagles could detect movement from hundreds of meters away before silently diving at terrifying speed. Every branch of life seemed locked in an evolutionary arms race, each generation producing faster runners, harder bites, deadlier venom, better camouflage. Nature rewarded physical superiority. And for millions of years, that strategy worked. Then something unexpected happened. Not because predators became weaker, but because the world itself began to change. Around 2.5 million years ago, Eastern Africa entered a period of dramatic climate instability. The forests that had protected generations of our ancestors began shrinking. Grassland spread across the landscape. Rainfall became unpredictable. Rivers shifted. Entire ecosystems moved. To many species, these changes were catastrophic. Animals that depended on dense forests suddenly found themselves exposed beneath an open sky. Food became seasonal. Waterholes disappeared without warning. A familiar landscape transformed into unfamiliar territory. Many lineages never recovered. Some vanished so completely that we know they ever existed only because fragments of their bones remained buried beneath ancient soil. For our ancestors, the problem wasn't simply finding food anymore. It was crossing open ground to reach it. Every journey became a gamble. Every tree stood farther apart than the last. Every patch of grass might hide a predator waiting for exactly one mistake. Imagine walking across a football field knowing that something faster than a racehorse might already be watching you. That wasn't imagination. It was daily life. By every logical measure, this should have been the end of our story. Instead, it became the beginning. Meet one of the most remarkable survivors in human history. Not because it was powerful, but because it had almost no reason to survive at all. Homo habilis. If one stood beside you today, You probably wouldn't mistake it for the future ruler of the planet. An adult reached only about 1.3 meters, or just over 4 feet, in height. Most weighed little more than 30 kilograms. Its arms remained longer than ours. Its face projected farther forward. Its brain averaged only around 600 cubic centimeters, less than half the size of your own. Standing alone, it looked vulnerable, standing beside the predators of its world. It looked hopeless. A lion outweighed it several times over. A leopard could climb trees faster than it ever could. Hyenas hunted in coordinated packs with bone-crushing jaws. Massive crocodiles waited silently beneath muddy rivers. Even the sky held danger. Some researchers believe giant crowned eagles preyed upon early human relatives based on fossil skulls bearing puncture marks that closely match the talons of these enormous birds. Imagine surviving in a world where danger could come from the grass, the river, or the sky itself. This wasn't humanity at the top of the food chain. This was humanity struggling simply to remain on it. And for a very long time, we weren't the hunters. We were the hunted. The question is, why didn't evolution end our story right there? The answer wasn't hidden in our muscles. It wasn't hidden in our speed. It wasn't even hidden inside our bones. It was waiting inside an ordinary stone. If you walked across the African Savannah 2 million years ago, you probably wouldn't notice the most important object lying at your feet. It wasn't gold. It wasn't fire. It wasn't a fossil. It was just a rock. Gray, ordinary, forgettable. The kind of stone you would kick aside without thinking. Yet hidden inside that rock was one of the greatest revolutions in the history of life. Not because of what it was, but because of what one small human imagined it could become. For decades, archaeologists searched for the moment humanity truly began. Many expected to find it inside an ancient skull, a larger brain, a more modern face, a skeleton that looked unmistakably human. Instead, they kept finding something else. Broken stones, thousands of them. At first glance, they looked like natural debris. After all, rocks break all the time. Lightning strikes, floods, landslides, animals trample them. Nature is very good at smashing stone. But these rocks were different. Again and again, researchers noticed the same unmistakable pattern. Each had been struck from exactly the right angle, again and again and again, leaving behind razor-sharp edges, far too precise to be an accident. Someone wasn't just breaking rocks. Someone was making tools. That simple discovery forced scientists to rethink one of evolution's biggest questions. Maybe humanity's story didn't begin with a bigger brain. Maybe it began with a better idea. Today, archaeologists call these the Oldowan tools. They first appeared roughly 2.6 million years ago, making them the oldest widely accepted stone tool industry ever discovered. Some were little more than fist-sized cores with sharp flakes removed. Others were the flakes themselves. To modern eyes, they seem almost disappointingly simple. Certainly nothing like a sword, or a spear, or even a knife. But appearances can be deceiving. Those rough fragments were sharper than many natural materials available on the savannah. Sharp enough to slice through animal skin, sharp enough to cut tendons, sharp enough to scrape meat from bones that larger predators had abandoned. For the first time, a small primate without claws possessed an edge rivaling one produced by nature. Not because evolution had grown it, because intelligence had built it. Here's the remarkable part. Oldowan technology barely changed for nearly 700,000 years. To us, that sounds unimaginably slow. Imagine using the same smartphone model for 700,000 years. The idea feels absurd. Yet those simple tools endured longer than any technology humans have ever created. Why? Because they worked. They weren't elegant. They weren't sophisticated. They didn't need to be. A sharp edge was enough to transform survival. Sometimes history doesn't begin with perfection. It begins with something that is simply good enough. But making one of those tools required something no fossil can directly preserve: a thought. Imagine holding a rounded stone in one hand, another heavier stone in the other. If you strike randomly, the rock simply shatters. the useful edge disappears. To create a cutting flake, you must hit one precise point, at one precise angle, with roughly the right amount of force. Too hard, and everything breaks. Too soft, and nothing happens. Before the first strike is ever made, the maker must already picture a shape that does not yet exist. The finished tool exists inside the mind before it exists in the hand. That may sound ordinary to us. We design furniture before building it. Architects imagine bridges before pouring concrete. Engineers visualize spacecraft years before launch. But 2 million years ago, this represented a profound leap in cognition. It meant the brain was no longer reacting only to the present. It was beginning to predict the future. Many animals use tools. Chimpanzees strip leaves from twigs to fish termites out of their nests. Sea otters crack shellfish using rocks balanced on their chests. New Caledonian crows bend sticks into hooks. These behaviors are genuinely impressive, but they share one important limitation. The tool is usually accepted as nature provides it. Humans crossed another threshold. Instead of asking, "What can this object do?" they began asking, "What could this object become?" That single question changed everything. Because once you can imagine an object that doesn't yet exist, there is almost no limit to what can eventually be built. Every axe, every wheel, every engine, every computer, every spacecraft, they all began with the same invisible act, imagining something before it became real. Then something even more extraordinary happened. A tool was no longer just a tool. It became information. If one individual discovered a better way to strike stone, everyone else could learn it. The improvement didn't have to wait for children to inherit new genes. It could spread before the next hunting season. For nearly 4 billion years, evolution had relied on random genetic mutations. Useful changes appeared slowly, painfully slowly. But now, another system had entered the competition. Learning. And learning moved at a speed DNA could never match. Evolution had not stopped. It had found a shortcut. For the first time in Earth's history, survival could improve dramatically without a single change to the body. That quiet shift would eventually produce something even more powerful than intelligence itself. Not a sharper tool, not a larger brain, but a network of minds working together. And that is where the real revolution begins. For millions of years, life on Earth followed one slow and unforgiving rule. If a species wanted to survive, its body had to change. A thicker shell, a stronger jaw, a faster leg, a sharper claw. Evolution worked through generations. A tiny advantage appeared. Those with that advantage survived more often. They reproduced, and slowly that trait spread. But then one species discovered a way to improve without waiting for evolution. It could learn, it could remember, and most importantly, it could teach. That changed the game forever. Imagine 2 early humans standing beside the same river nearly 2 million years ago. They have almost identical bodies, the same fragile muscles, the same limited speed, the same vulnerability, but one of them knows something the other does not. He knows which stones break correctly. He knows where animals usually travel. He knows which plants can be eaten and which can make you sick. He knows how to process food faster. Biologically, they are almost the same, but in reality, they are completely different. One carries thousands of generations of accumulated experience inside his mind. The other does not. The difference is invisible. There is no bone, no tooth, no fossil. But that invisible difference may have been the most powerful weapon ever created. Knowledge. This was the moment humanity discovered something nature had never seen before. Information could evolve. A lion cub is born with instincts inherited through millions of years. A newborn human is born helpless. It cannot hunt. It cannot escape predators. It cannot survive alone. But that weakness contained a hidden advantage. Humans had a much longer period of learning. A child didn't simply inherit a body. It inherited a library. Every generation could receive discoveries from the previous one. A better hunting route, a safer shelter, a more effective tool, a warning about a dangerous predator, a memory of where water could be found during a drought. The body changed slowly, but the mind could change overnight. This is where humans became different from every other animal. A wolf pack can coordinate a hunt. A pride of lions can work together to bring down prey. Ant colonies can build structures that seem impossible for creatures so small. Cooperation itself is not unique. But human cooperation had something extra: shared knowledge. A lion learns mostly through instinct. A young human learns from everyone around them: parents, siblings, hunters, elders. The entire group becomes a source of information. The survival ability of one individual becomes the property of everyone. And that created something extraordinary: a brain larger than any single skull, a collective intelligence. Consider a simple hunt. One person alone on the savannah has a problem. They must find food, watch for predators, carry tools, protect themselves, remember every danger. Their attention is limited, but a group changes everything. One person searches for tracks, another watches the horizon, someone prepares tools, someone remembers where animals migrated last season, someone protects the young. No individual knows everything, but together, they know enough. This was humanity's secret. Not that one human was stronger than a lion. A single human was never stronger. Not that one human was faster than a zebra. They were not. The advantage came from combining thousands of small pieces of knowledge into something larger. A group of ordinary humans could accomplish what one extraordinary animal never could. And this ability created a new type of evolution. Biological evolution creates changes through DNA. Cultural evolution creates changes through ideas, and ideas move incredibly fast. A mutation might take thousands of generations to spread. A useful idea could spread within a single lifetime. A better tool design could travel from one valley to another. A successful hunting method could become tradition. A survival lesson could outlive the person who discovered it. For the first time, a creature on Earth was no longer limited by what its body was. It was limited only by what it could learn. But there was still one enormous challenge. Intelligence alone was not enough. A smart individual could still die. A brilliant idea could disappear forever if nobody remembered it. The next step required something even more important: communication. Because knowledge trapped inside one mind disappears when that mind disappears. But knowledge shared between minds becomes something else. It becomes culture. The first humans did not build cities. They did not write books. They did not create machines. Their first great invention was much simpler. They created a way for information to survive beyond a single lifetime. A stone tool was not just a sharp object. It was a message from the past. It said, "Someone before you discovered this. Someone struggled. Someone learned. Someone left you a solution." And every time another human copied that idea, they added something new. A slightly better edge, a better technique, a better strategy. The knowledge of the dead continued working through the living. This was the moment the weakest creature on the planet gained something no predator could match. A lion could inherit powerful claws. A cheetah could inherit incredible speed. A crocodile could inherit armor and crushing jaws. But humans inherited something different: the ability to inherit discoveries. And that ability had no natural limit, because a claw cannot become a better claw through teaching. A fang cannot become sharper because another animal shared an idea. But a human idea can improve forever. One generation builds, the next improves, the next builds again, until eventually, a small creature carrying a stone tool would create things no animal on Earth could even imagine. But before humans reached the stars, they first had to survive the most dangerous challenge of all. Not predators, not climate, not hunger. Something much harder: learning how to become human. For most of Earth's history, survival was written into the body. The cheetah survived because it was fast. The shark survived because it was built for the ocean. The elephant survived because its enormous size discouraged almost every attacker. Every species carried its own answer to the challenge of life. But humans discovered something different. The answer did not have to be inside the body. It could exist outside of it, in a tool, in a memory, in a story, in another person's mind. And that changed the direction of evolution forever. A stone tool may seem insignificant today. A small piece of broken rock, something you could hold in your palm. But imagine seeing it through the eyes of an animal living 2 million years ago. A lion has claws. A leopard has teeth. A human has something that did not naturally exist anywhere else on Earth. A weapon created by thought. The human body had limitations, but the human imagination did not. That was the beginning of a completely new type of survival. The strange thing about human evolution is that our bodies did not become dramatically better hunters. We never developed the speed of a cheetah. We never developed the strength of a gorilla. We never developed the natural weapons of a predator. In many ways, humans remained physically ordinary, but ordinary bodies combined with extraordinary cooperation created something new. A human alone was vulnerable. A human group was different. Archaeological evidence suggests that early humans were already processing animal remains with stone tools more than 2 million years ago. Those sharp edges allowed them to access food that powerful predators had already claimed. A lion could kill, but humans could return to the remains. A hyena could crush bones, but humans could cut and extract what others could not. The advantage was not overpowering nature. It was finding a different path through it. Humans did not beat predators at their own game. They changed the game. And then came one of the most important developments in human history: fire. At some point in our evolutionary story, humans learned to control this dangerous force. The exact timing remains debated among scientists, but evidence suggests controlled fire use became increasingly important. Hundreds of thousands of years ago, fire was not just a source of warmth, it was a transformation of the environment. It extended activity after sunset. It provided protection. It allowed food to be cooked. And cooking changed human life. Food became easier to digest. More energy became available. That energy could support demanding organs like the brain. A creature that once feared the darkness could now create its own light. Think about how extraordinary that was. Every other animal experienced the night as something that happened to them. Humans began changing the night itself. The darkness was no longer simply a danger. It became a place where humans could gather. Around a fire, something new happened. People waited. They watched. They communicated. They shared experiences. The fire became more than a tool. It became a center of human connection. This is where another invisible weapon emerged: stories. A story can preserve information. A story can warn future generations about danger. A story can explain where food can be found. A story can teach without requiring someone else to experience the same mistake. Imagine an elder telling a younger person, "Do not cross that valley after sunset. There are predators there. Follow this river when the dry season comes. These plants will make you sick." That knowledge could save lives decades after the original discovery. The lesson survived longer than the person who learned it. And this reveals something profound. Humans did not become powerful because we knew everything. We became powerful because we could admit that we didn't. A lion depends mostly on what it is born knowing. Humans depend on what others have discovered. Every child begins almost completely helpless, but every child enters a world filled with information created before they existed. They inherit invisible tools: language, skills, traditions, memories, ideas. This process accelerated slowly. Then suddenly, small improvements accumulated: a better stone edge, a better shelter, a better hunting strategy, a better way to communicate. Each improvement seemed insignificant. But evolution does not only work through dramatic changes. Sometimes the smallest advantages, repeated across thousands of generations, reshape an entire species. A single idea becomes a tradition becomes culture, culture becomes civilization. The remarkable part is that the first humans creating these changes had no idea what they were building. The person striking a stone 2 million years ago was not thinking about cities. They were not imagining airplanes. They were not dreaming of computers or spacecraft. They were solving a simple problem: how do I survive today? But every solution created a possibility for tomorrow. The future was being built by people who never saw it. And this is where humanity's story takes its greatest turn, because the most important invention was never the stone tool. The stone was only the evidence. The real invention was something invisible, a system for storing knowledge outside the body, a way for the dead to continue teaching the living, a way for one person's discovery to become everyone's advantage. That invention was culture, and once culture appeared, human evolution would never be the same again, because now, the species was no longer changing only through biology, it was changing through ideas, and ideas were about to become the most powerful force on Earth. 2 million years ago, a small creature walked across the African landscape. It had no claws, no powerful jaws, no thick armor, no natural weapon capable of defeating the predators around it. If nature judged survival only by physical ability, this creature should have disappeared. But nature had made one mistake. It had created something it had never created before, a species that could change the rules. The story of humanity is often told as a story of dominance, a story about how humans conquered the planet, how we built cities, how we created technology, how we transformed the earth. But that was not where the story began. It began with vulnerability, with a creature that was small, slow, and fragile, a creature that survived not because it was stronger than nature, but because it learned faster than nature could stop it. Every animal on Earth has a specialty. The eagle owns the sky, the shark owns the ocean, the cheetah owns speed, the elephant owns strength. Humans? We never owned any physical advantage. Our bodies are remarkably ordinary. We are not the strongest. We are not the fastest. We are not the most resistant. An unarmed human standing alone against a large predator is still exactly what our ancestors experienced for millions of years, a vulnerable animal. But humans possessed something different, a way to multiply individual intelligence across generations. Knowledge. A single human mind is limited. It can only remember so much. It can only solve so many problems. But when knowledge is shared, something extraordinary happens. One person's discovery becomes another person's starting point. The next generation does not begin from zero. It begins from everything that came before. That is the true reason humans became different. Not because one person was brilliant, but because millions of ordinary minds could build upon each other. A stone tool created 2 million years ago may seem disconnected from a modern computer, but the connection is real. Both began with the same mental ability, imagining something that does not yet exist. A human sees a piece of material. A human imagines a possibility. A human transforms reality. That pattern repeated endlessly. Stone became metal. Metal became machines. Machines became computers. Computers became spacecraft. The distance between an ancient stone flake and a Mars rover is enormous, but the idea behind both is exactly the same. A mind looking at the world and asking, what else could this become? This may be humanity's greatest evolutionary advantage. Not intelligence alone. Many animals are intelligent. Some can remember. Some can plan. Some can solve problems. The difference is that humans can preserve ideas beyond the lifetime of the individual who created them. A thought can survive its creator. A discovery can travel farther than the person who discovered it ever could. A lesson learned thousands of years ago can still shape the lives of people today. Ideas have something biological evolution does not: speed. A genetic mutation requires generations. A useful idea can spread tomorrow. A better hunting method, a new tool design, a safer shelter, a medical discovery, a scientific breakthrough. Each one adds another layer to the enormous structure of human knowledge. Civilization did not appear suddenly. It was built from countless tiny improvements made by people whose names were forgotten. The first person who shaped a stone never knew the future they started. The first person who controlled fire never imagined modern cities. The first person who told a story around a campfire never imagined books, movies, or the internet. They were not building the future intentionally. They were simply passing something forward. And perhaps that is the most extraordinary part of the human story. Almost every person who changed history never saw the full result of their actions. They only added one small piece, one idea, one discovery, one improvement. Then someone else continued. Human progress is not the achievement of one genius. It is the accumulation of millions of forgotten contributions. The dead continue speaking through the living. The past continues shaping the future. Today, humans have reached places our ancestors could never imagine. We have mapped the deepest oceans. We have photographed distant galaxies. We have created machines that explore other worlds. We have uncovered the history written inside our own bones. But every achievement still carries the fingerprint of that ancient moment. A small human ancestor, a simple stone, a decision to create instead of merely survive. 2 million years ago, Homo habilis stood among creatures far more impressive than itself. Predators with better weapons, animals with stronger bodies, hunters that seemed perfectly designed for their environments. Yet that small human ancestor possessed something none of them had: the ability to improve itself without changing its body, the ability to learn, the ability to share, the ability to remember, and eventually, the ability to imagine a world that did not yet exist. The weakest human did not win because it became the strongest animal. It won because it discovered something more powerful than strength. A body can only fight for one lifetime, but an idea can fight for thousands of years. A claw can kill one creature. A discovery can transform an entire species. That is why the story of humanity is not really the story of a powerful animal. It is the story of an animal that learned how to create power. Long before humans built cities, we built knowledge. Long before we reached the stars, we reached beyond our own limitations. And long before we conquered the earth, we first had to overcome the impossible challenge of surviving on it. The first human revolution was not a weapon. It was not fire. It was not even intelligence. It was the moment one fragile creature looked at an ordinary stone and saw something no other animal could see, a possibility. And from that single idea, the future of the planet changed forever.